Women Getting Visible, the speakers edition for Minneapolis Women Getting Visible Show and Conference. I'm Christina Vidovich, visibility strategist. Here is Amy Nubson, growth strategist, and our special guest today and speaker, Toni Will. Welcome, Toni.
Hello, ladies. This is so fun. I can't wait to dive in.
And we can't wait to dive in with you. Oh my goodness. So I love the fact of what you do and what you're bringing to the table. So I want to start with, what is it that really drives the message that you're going to be bringing with you to the Minneapolis conference?
Yeah, I think the main message is there's not one right way to be successful, design what successful looks like. There's not one specific path. And how, this is women getting visible. So, how do we do that? How do we find our version of success in a way where we're getting visible? That pushes us outside our comfort zone, but not an insane amount, just one small step.
Yeah, I love that because I think that the little small steps always become big, giant impact later on. So, how do you feel like the women in the room will receive your message? Because, it's always interesting to get to know a little bit more about what you're going to give to the women in the room.
Yeah, so I'm really passionate about women empowerment, leadership, learning, connectivity, and really about lifting women up. I mean, I have, as you ladies know, my own event that I host here in my hometown of Kalamazoo, Michigan, around this concept, and because I work in a male-dominated industry, so my hope is when I come and speak, it's all about feeling motivated, inspired, and also to talk about some of the parts in my story that have been messy and that haven't been Instagram highlight reel worthy, but I still talk about because that's what life really is. It's not, it's, I mean, it's, I don't know, it's a messy thing sometimes, and that's okay. And we can feel that way and still come out the other side wanting to have our dreams and goals and play big.
Yes.
Yeah. There's so much courage in those words to allow ourselves to live in the messy, to be in the messy, and accept the messy.
And then also to share the messy as well.
Yeah. And a lot of times you'll hear someone that really is authentic and grounded as a speaker to say, listen, this is just who I am. And they'll be like, oh my God, I'm not alone. And one of the messages I send is, and I say it with love, but you're not special. Like you are never alone in what you're feeling. You think you're the only one, but trust me, you are not. And um, we're all unique in our own ways, but there's a lot of things that we have in common.
Well, that's one of the things I love as a storyteller. I get to listen to women's stories all over the world, and I always say, storytelling has no boundaries. There's no, and when you start to talk to people from all over the world, you realize how similar we are. Our hopes, our dreams, our fears, our anxieties, what we want is so similar that it's hard to see us as different.
Yeah.
So I agree with you completely.
Yeah, and we don't need to be perfect. And I think depending, there's like five generations in the workplace now, which means what tells me is there's five different generations potentially at this conference. And we're all culturally told a different message as we were coming of age. And I can tell you one theme that has been woven into all the generations is of women showing up flawless and fit and successful and the best moms or the best, fur baby moms or whatever we are. And I would say actually Gen Z is probably getting it best where it's like, no, this is just who I am. And so, like adopting that, we don't have to be unflawed to be valuable and accomplish our goals.
You know what I love about that, saying the Gen Zs? It's because, hey, look, we're the generations, especially as women, who've worked through a lot of stuff, who've said, we're pushing this barrier out of the way and stepping through it. So, yes, that's a great statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that today's world. There's some things that, when I grew up, like I pictured I had to be like, I had to wear high heels. My feet cannot handle high heels. Plus, I just absolutely hate it. Christina can rock them, but I will not. like, and I choose, I'm like, nope, not me. But I love that that's not a thing that today's world, that has to be something you have to do in order to be successful, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the 80s power suit was a real thing. And with that power suit came them power heels. And praise be 30-year-old Toni, she would rock them. But 48-year-old Toni, no. So that is not where she's at anymore. And that's okay, right? And we can all be in that space because I'll be like, Christina looks great in those and good for her. And I'll be wearing my silver Adidas, that and she's probably looking at me thinking those are cool too, like we're cheering each other on.
Well, I have a curious question. Being in a space where it's male dominated, how does that, I mean, there's so many places that are male dominated, but particularly in sports.
Mhm.
How do you navigate that as one of the few women in the space that you're in?
Yeah, so as people will learn about me at the conference, I'm the general manager of a men's AA professional hockey team called the Kalamazoo Wings in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is my hometown. I'm born and raised here and never left. Did I think I would be the GM of the men's pro hockey team here? No. And the team is 52 years old this coming hockey season, and I am younger than that. So this has been around my whole life. I never thought I would work in this space. So part of my story is interesting, which I can share a little bit about when I'm there. But it wasn't like I applied for this job and said I'm going to rip my bra off, set it on fire, yell "Woman, hear me roar," and break through every glass ceiling I possibly could. That was not the story. And so it really is like part of that. My success came from walking through those doors and not even thinking about my gender at all. I really didn't. And but when I worked in banking the first 13 years of my career in leadership there, I didn't think about my gender at all. It became obvious when there were different ways I was treated or spoken to either in meetings or by fans. And because I'm an authentic leader where I'm like, I didn't have a hockey background. Certain people don't like that. Well, now I do. I've been doing it well over a decade. But it is I've learned a lot along the way. A lot of the naivety has gone, but a lot of what I do have is that business acumen and that leadership quality and understanding because this is my hometown. There's a lot of relationships I have that I was able to build this, when you combine all these things and someone that loves to learn and grow and challenge herself, it was the perfect place for a personality like mine to shine and build a great team culture and grow what I have here over the last nearly 12 years.
That's so, it's wonderful to hear because I mean, the idea is you just always owned who you were. You showed up as you were. You didn't think about how you were different or how you had to fit in. You're like, no, this is what I'm creating. And I like that you created the experience that you wanted for yourself. And that's not something we are sometimes told is the right path to do. But I think truly it's where we blossom more is when we get to create that path for ourselves.
My story was not linear. It was, the first 5 years of my career was, really working on turning the franchise around. And like I like to say, pulling the Titanic out of the iceberg, because when you live here, you would just assume every community has a pro hockey team. And that is simply not the case. It is very special that a community this size has pro sports at all. And so, I mean, the population of Kalamazoo proper is 75,000. So most professional sports teams are in communities of north of a million or more. And because we're privately owned, we're in a totally unique situation. And that's part of telling that story and how we're developing these players to move up the hockey system through the American League to the NHL and back down. And so it's really understanding that and creating that image, which is true, is that this is unique. This is a sports entertainment venue. Let's take advantage of that. And so I was able to, lean into my own unique ability, being a female GM of a men's professional hockey team. And I represent, which 51% of the population are women of the global population. So I represent something that little girls can look up to and say, I want to do what she's doing. And knowing that I can do that by being me. I've always had short hair. I've always worn glasses. I've always been just a little different than a lot of women. But I love women and they're friends of mine. And, they lift me up too, just like both of you. And so it's really embracing that. But not every day has been easy by any stretch of the imagination. It is a high pressure environment. It is challenging at times. And I have definitely questioned my seat at the table, but I understand
Yeah.
the responsibility that comes with it, and I'm proud of it. So I keep pushing through the times that aren't easy.
Mhm.
Mm.
That's so beautiful. It's like I hear again, it's like when we're talking and having these speaker interviews, the clarity, the courage, the confidence, and how much I can hear that through the story that you're telling. It's just incredible. Which of those, I mean, it's hard to pick, but which of those words speaks to you the most?
I think the word that I get asked about a lot is courage. Like, Toni, how do you have the courage to walk into those rooms or speak up in those meetings or challenge, the men in the room when you're the only woman at the table? And so courage is definitely one that I get asked about quite a bit. And really the answer comes in setting goals, whether they're big or small, and achieving them, because that builds confidence. And
Mm.
so, and I don't always feel courageous. Sometimes it's just me thinking, experimenting. I'm like, I'm going to try this and see what happens. And sometimes I fall flat on my face, and sometimes it works out. So,
Uh-huh. Exactly.
I'll work with it. Ah. Yeah, and that's incredible. Just what you're talking about, the courageousness being a word, but also with that falling through is the curiosity,
mhm.
and that has been like the fourth C that's been happening here, and getting someone like you who is leading a different path to step in and speak and share your stories. There's curious minds want to know about Toni.
Curiosity is definitely one of my core values. Even I am an avid learner. And so when I see women putting these type of events on, I'm like raising my hand. And one of the things I do, and I always, like consider is even if I'm not speaking at the event, I like to show up to these too as a participant. I don't always need to be the one on the stage. And so you'll oftentimes see me attending these type of events as just someone that wants to learn and see what other women are doing in these spaces to help women build confidence, clarity, courage, because they're curious. Another interesting fact I learned as I read all these books and stuff is only 10% of leaders are actively learning something new.
Oh.
Really? That seems so low.
It's shocking, but a lot of it is, you'll hear the common thing is, "Oh, I don't have time."
Mm.
Okay, I call BS on that. I mean, anyways, but I think it's such a valuable insight as a learner, or as a learner and a leader, because I'll read books that I hate and I'll say, God, I don't like that, but there's always a nugget or two I can pull out of it. So yeah, I want to be part of that 10% that is learning, so I'm better at my leadership day to day, whether that's at work or with my young adult children or in my marriage or being a good neighbor, daughter, whatever. It all applies to all parts of my life.
Well, that's what I love about visibility. It applies to all areas of life. We're not just, only visible in work, we're visible in our lives. And how do we show up really does matter in all relationships. And that's what I love about the conversations that all of us are having is this goes through every part of us, every part of our lives. So take the skills and apply it to when you're in a group of setting or if you're on a board, and how can you bring that to the table? If it's, showing up and giving, taking your kids to you're the chaperone at some event, whatever it is, they can be applied. And so, and
Absolutely.
I love curiosity. That I love that you're curious because you also are so open and sharing of everything you do that I feel like if somebody asks you the question, you're going to tell them the truth.
Oh, I am. Like, listen, I talk about this, when we were talking off air about things. I've been married 3 times. I will talk about this all day long. And my third time's a charm husband. He's upstairs right now, building something for in my office. And like, I talk about these things because that's another example where, being married 3 times could be something that is stigmatized Or I could just talk about how I ended up, like why I chose, why those first two marriages didn't work, and my mindset around I got out of those relationships what I was supposed to, and that it's not something wrong with me. It just didn't work for us, and that's okay. Or my relationship with alcohol, which I know I will be talking about when I give my talk. And I quit drinking almost 6 years ago because Tony Party Time, she needed to be retired. Like my relationship with alcohol was not what I wanted, but it's highly stigmatized. And so, how can I lead authentically and say, I'm going to quit drinking out loud, even though there could be a lot of shame attached to it? But I find the more I talk about these things, the shame shrinks, and I build more confidence. It seems counterintuitive, but it's true. So we all have these stories, and maybe they're not divorces or getting arrested or quitting drinking or all the things. They could be much smaller than that, but you might still feel shame about it.
And I do think that's a lot of it. Visibility, the ones you hold back because you're ashamed. There's some kind of shame a lot of times, or an embarrassment, or something going on. And it's like, I always think the interesting people are the ones that are willing to share their messiness, or the realness, or the rawness. And some people will be like, I'm so sorry I'm crying. I'm like, don't ever apologize for crying. Like, that's ridiculous. It's a real emotion. Feel the emotion. And I love that you bring that energy to the table, as well as, life can be raw and painful, but it also can give you so many opportunities, but you just got to show up for it.
Yeah. Yep. You do. You just gotta you gotta let the hard stuff, especially when there's big challenges. I always say to myself, I'm growing, I'm growing, I'm growing, even though it's annoying.
Yes, they can be. Oh, and sometimes you wish they never happened, but then you're grateful for them afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, you two putting on this conference, it's a lot of work. I don't think people understand, like behind the scenes, like how much work this really is. And so I have a lot of admiration for women who do this work because it is out of a passion and a calling. So compliments to both of you because there are hard times, especially at this part of it. There's lots of details. And so kudos to both of you for growing through this.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And I mean, it's just, there's nothing quite like, and I know Amy feels this way. It's the same, it's just like runs through our veins and our hearts to be able to share women's stories and celebrate us, because look, we've had some interesting lives before we stepped in this room, and why not celebrate together about like, oh, you did that too? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And really celebrate women coming together because they're depending, again, going back to generations, women haven't always lifted each other up. And so breaking down those stigmas too and saying, no, I want what's best for everyone that's at this event. And we're not competing with one another. It's a mindset of abundance. This isn't scarce. There's only one Christina. There's only one Amy. There's only one Tony, and there's enough for all of us. The only greatest equalizer is time, because we all have the same 24 hours. So how are we going to spend it?
Yeah, that's a powerful statement. And I want to get into the next powerful statement and question to you, Toni. Why does visibility matter?
I think it's important for women who want to be seen to be seen. And not everyone wants that. And every woman or every person for that matter wants that. And that's okay. But if you want to be seen, it's, like come to this event, figure out these people who will help you. You're like, I don't know what visibility means. Visibility is so many different things. Like we're on a visibility tool right now with podcasting. Maybe that's what you want to do. Maybe you want to have a website. Maybe you want to get on a stage and speak. Maybe, there's so many different ways to be seen. Just start posting on social media or a new social media medium that you have no clue about. So there's a lot of different ways. And that's part of this is like learning. What does visibility mean to the woman attending this? And what do they want to make visible? It doesn't have to be their whole life. It could just be parts of it, what their calling or passion is.
Well, thank you, Toni. That was amazing. I love how passionate you can get. Even your voice gets really excitable, and I love it because there's such strength in what you say and what you do. And I love that no matter what time I've talked to you, you've always showed up exactly who you are. And I think that's what we're all striving to do, is to just be ourselves no matter what room we're in, what conversation we're having. I want to be me, and I want to be seen for being me. And I love that you are doing that, giving women's voices and sharing it with us today and in Minneapolis as well. So thank you for coming and being part of our show.
Well, thank you for putting the event together, both of you, and creating this space for us all to come together. And I'm excited. It's happening the day after my birthday. So there's no better way to celebrate than with a bunch of wonderful women who are driven to learn and connect and grow. So thank you for putting all this effort and energy into it, because it's going to be amazing.
Well, that's fantastic because my birthday just after it. So there we go.
Look at us June Geminis. I tell you what.
Yes. Love it.
Incredible. This is just going to be a week of celebration. That's what it has to be. And I can't wait, Toni, for you to share your message in the room with the incredible ladies who will be there. And I want to thank everybody who's watching and listening to us today on this special speaker edition of Women Getting Visible.
Share